we'd like to welcome you to Quilt Show Reno's live interviews with teachers, vendors, sponsors, everybody who helps create and make Quilt Show Reno the show that it is. Today we have two special guests. We have, well, three actually. We have Lance and Cindy Peterson from Quilt Duck, and we have Linda McGehee. I'm just going to bring on Lance and Cindy first. They're going to be showing you a brand new app that they are developing. Hey, Carolyn, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Hey, Phyllis. Okay, I'm going to bring on Lance and Cindy, and you guys can just go ahead and tell us what your new app is and kind of tell us like why you decided to make an app.
We started this app last year. Cindy came to me. Cindy's a longtime quilter, and I'm a software developer by trade. Cindy came to me and says, I want to be able to see my quilt with my fabric before I start cutting. Can't you make me an app for that? And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I can. So that's what we've done. We've created Quilt Duck. It's a mobile app. You use the phone's camera to photograph your fabric. Then you plug that in to one of dozens of quilt patterns that we've added to the app. Let me just show it to you really quick.
Okay.
Hopefully this will work.
So it's not available yet, but it will be available in the very near future, like maybe next week.
Yeah, that's correct. So we're just in the last stages of our beta testing program. We should be done with it on April 9th. So I'm hoping that by next week we should have it released for both iPhone and for Android. And all right.
Do you see the plus button down at the bottom? It's like inside of a screen.
I do, and it's making me fix my permissions.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's going to say I got to quit and reopen.
Do you want to do that and get that ready, and then I don't want to bring Linda on because Linda's going to go a long time. She'll probably go 15, 20 minutes.
That's fine. Come back to us.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Thanks.
Okay, Linda, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
And I'm excited to see Lance's an app. That's fascinating. I'd like to see it with thread and everything else too. And I'm excited to be back at Quilt Show Reno this year. I thought we fixed some lighting, but apparently we didn't. But if y'all can see me, then I'll just go right on ahead. I've got a long list of classes coming up, and they start on Tuesday night. So I'll be arriving on Monday and getting ready for classes. Most of my classes are sponsored in the Bernina rooms. So whether I'm in the serger or the sewing machine, you'll have a Bernina to sew on. So I thank Go and Batty for supplying the machines for my classes, because you're just going to have so much fun stitching. The first night, we're doing corded piping for fine finish and detail. And if you're not familiar with corded piping, this is a project that has corded piping in between the rows of the spiral patchwork. But this is what it would have looked like without the piping. Notice how the cording and the extra fabric contrast really gives it a nice look and adds a bit of zing. Now you can do this in amongst your piecing, or you can do it on the edge of the quilt. So when you're working with a quilt, you've got fine corners to work with. So you're going to learn tips about corners, working with curves, applying the garments. We'll do a little quickie thing where we've got some tiny corded piping. This is about 1/16 of an inch, and it's separated. The sections that are on this could have been a pot holder, could be a rotary cutter case, whatever you or an eyeglass case, whatever you choose to make it. What's important to me in the class is that you learn how easy it is to do corded piping, and we'll be using specialty feet to make our task easier. We'll use the piping wizard to trim the seams. And I'm also going to show you a fake corded piping at the end, which is really easy and fun. Now, another class the next evening, Wednesday evening, I'm looking at my schedule to make sure I tell you the right times. You know how much I love thread and sparkle and texture. So we'll be working with a variety of threads, some of them thick, some of them thin, some yarn, some fuzzy threads. So you'll learn how to work with the threads on your sewing machine. We'll be using specialty feet for some types of for texture. We'll make sure we use the proper needle. We'll have decorative threads in the needle, decorative threads in the foot, and we'll put it all together and just work on some samples of different types of thread work and decorative stitches so that you take full advantage of your machine. I know with piecing, a lot of times you're just doing straight stitching, but we're going to use all sorts of bells and whistles on your machine, whether you're working with a quilting thread. This one happens to be top stitching thread, and this was stitched freehand, which is the way I like to stitch. So it's just fun to sew crooked and work on wrinkled fabric, and it's fun to add the texture of different weights of threads to whatever it is you're working with. This is the beginning of another project. After I do decorative threads, I have a brand new class. It's called Unzip the Mystery of Creating Serging. And last year we did some decorative threads, and we did a project similar to this, but we did not use the serger. We used the sewing machine. But this time we're going to make the project completely on the serger. So we'll be using the cover stitch for the decorative stitches that you see here. The cover stitch looks different on the top and the bottom. On the top, it may look like a double needle. On the bottom, it looks like bobbin work. And so by mixing and matching and flipping the fabric over, you can get a variety of looks. So we'll be experimenting and playing with the cover stitch. Then we will finish the edge of the project with the serger, put the zipper in with the cover stitch machine, and apply a single piece of zipper all the way around. And when you zip it up, you have a nice clean finish on the other edge, and you don't have any ends poking out. So this is the project we'll be working with. I had a couple of others laying here. I don't know what happened to them.
So Linda, if they've never used a serger, would this still be a great class for them to just kind of open up their eyes to what a serger can do?
I would recommend they go by the booth. This class
Going
is
Batty's
on
booth?
Thursday. Yeah, go in Batty's booth and take a look at a serger, just so they know what there's because a serger doesn't look like a sewing machine. There are 2 needles most of the time. Sometimes there are 3 needles. There are 4 spools of thread. We don't necessarily use all 4 spools all the time, but there is a little bit of terminology and understanding of the machine. As long as they let me know, and I think Going Batty's going to have lots of helpers there.
They will have a helper in the room. So if anybody doesn't know, they can.
So we can get them through it. Once you start playing on the machine, it's just another machine. It just looks a little bit different than a sewing machine, and it does different types of stitches. We've used it to finish the seams on garments for the longest time, but now with the thread availability and different types of thread, the textures and everything, some of them go in the loopers, some of them go in the needle, and you can do all sorts of fun things with your serger. So I've had beginner students in this class, and some of them were overwhelmed, but they did get a couple of the projects done that I was doing in that class. In that particular instance, we were doing several small projects. But they could also get up with me before class and see if I can't show them a few things, or ask Go and Betty to show them a few things so they understand what the sewing is all about. Particularly if they're completely new to sewing at all.
Perfect. Okay.
So I want people to enjoy their sewing machine and their serger as much as possible. I wish I'd made this a little bit bigger and made it into a table runner. It was going to be a handbag, but it's so pretty on both sides. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with it. So I just finished the edges with binding. But you get an idea of some of the stitching that you can do with your serge, particularly if you rethread it and change colors of thread. So that's Unzip the Mystery of Creative Serging. Then a brand new class is Not Your Ordinary Necklace, and it's made with zippers. So this is one. In the center, you can see the zippers. That little shiny edge is actually the zipper coil. Most of my samples, well, all the samples I'm showing you today, I'm using the nylon coil. It looks like a metal, but it's actually a nylon coil. And we've added a tie to this one to complete the look. I don't think it's on there right now, but I probably need to, since I'm showing this, get them to add in the what to bring. If you have a favorite tie that you wanted to include in a necklace, bring it, or get a tie that you like the colors of if you want to add a tie. Some of the necklaces don't have a tie. You know, zippers nowadays have different types of tape. This is a striped tape. The tape's been overlapped and it was glued. This is more of a glue and hand stitch class than it is a machine sewing class. And I'll include some buttons. You can bring buttons if you want to add it to yours. We'll have rhinestones and some embroidery to go along with it too, that's already been stitched. And the third one I'm going to show you, this one's my favorite.
Oh, I love that one.
We've got purple with sort of a coppery color coil, and it just ties in so nicely with the tie, and as well as with the buttons and the embroidery.
So that class, you're going to be making a wearable necklace, and the base is a zipper.
Yes. Their kit includes, I'm bringing a whole stash of zippers for that class. And I'll bring leftover parts of zippers that I have, just because sometimes you only need a small piece. Mm-hmm. And you can get a variety by using leftover parts than you can just starting off with one solid piece. Or students can
you'll be gluing it and hand stitching it. You won't need a sewing machine for that class.
No sewing machine for that class.
How fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure what room it is, I've been told, but I'll figure that out when I get there. But I know it's in a classroom that we won't have machines. Strictly hand sewing and glue.
Perfect. I love that. Crafty.
Yes. You can take a break from the show and come join us. Now, I know a lot of folks have been in my classes with serging. So this year, what we're going to do is serge into spiraling, excuse me. But this year, we're going to serge into spiraling. So we'll be using the serger with the narrow rolled edge on the outside to give the look of what looks like a corded piping. So these lines that you see in between is serging, as opposed to corded piping. Maybe you can see it a little bit better here. This is the beginning of sewing the strips together before we get to the spiraling. I do have a garment that are a couple of garments here that have serging on them. This is a technique that I started doing years ago, and Connie Spurlock uses a very similar technique to make a table runner. I think we use the same ruler.
Oh yeah, the 10-degree ruler.
And so, and if you wanted to switch and do this as opposed to the other one, it's okay by me. You still got to serge strips to get the idea started. This one has the red thread in between. And another little trick, you know, when I found this group of fabric, it was some of Paula Nettleston's. I needed one more fabric. I just couldn't find a fabric that I wanted to go along with it. So I cut the stripe on the crosswise grain as well as the lengthwise grain. And that was the extra fabric that I needed.
That's perfect.
So
because the colors go, but it gives a totally different look.
Absolutely. And you know, the way some of the stripes are, they really change a lot over the width of the fabric. So if you're selling people fabric for this type of strip piecing, make them of a stripe, they need to get at least 2 yards. So they have 1.25 yards to go lengthwise and 3/4 of a yard to go crosswise.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's serge into spiraling. We will be making the fabric. We're not going to make a finished garment. We don't have the time. It doesn't allow us to do that. But we will be making fabric that you can make into a pillow, a garment, or parts of a garment, or whatever strikes your fancy. Now, Friday night, there's going to be a lot of big things happening. And I know there's something going on in another room. But in my room, we're going to have our Friday night mystery. And nobody but me knows what we're going to do. And I've got a couple of things already set in my mind, but I'm going to add a couple of other ones. So it'll be smaller projects that are quick to put together. The one thing there will be is a zipper. Now, I think on the web, I said it's not going to be any kind of jewelry. It's going to be actually inserting a zipper into the fabric to make the project that we're making. So we'll be making a couple of little projects, quick and easy. It's Friday night. You've been busy all week, so you doesn't need to be a lot of hard, fast thinking. But I've got good plans, fun plans for the Friday night mystery.
So the Friday night mystery sounds like it's going to be like quick, fast, easy projects that they'll be able to go home and make more of so that they can get a jump start on Christmas gifts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm. And I might even request a couple of sergers come over. We'll see and we'll do all sorts of playing. That's kind of a wild, crazy class because I have different sections of people doing different things because machines may be set up differently. And it's just easier to go from machine to machine, although you'll learn how to set them up. With all the thread and everything that's involved, it's just easier to splash around the room and have fun.
Right. And learn some new techniques.
Oh, absolutely. Now, on Saturday, I have a brand new pattern. It's similar to one that I already have out, but what's different about it is I'm using wires at the top to give the shape, but it also has a zipper in it. And I started sewing one this morning, and I didn't have the right color pink. I might end up taking this out. But when the metal frame goes in, the top of the bag will have this shape. And when you open it up, the bag stays open. Sometimes with the zipper, the bags kind of flop and it's hard to see what's inside. And the frames that I used to be able to carry held the top of the bag open. This technique with the wires will keep the top of the bag open, and it does have a zipper at the top. So we'll be using a double zipper, and the class is touted, ouch, not quite finished. I found a pin.
It happens.
It does. But this is one that's done with denim, which I recommended people bring denim, and I've put some extra appliques on it. And I was gifted a bunch of rhinestone press-ons. So we'll have some of those that you can put on yours if you want to. If you decide that you don't want to use denim, it's okay to bring fabric. But we'll be working my samples will be predominantly denim. So I'm using the pocket that was already on the denim. It's finished. There's no sense taking it apart. And there's another pocket on the back side that was already there. So we're kind of upscaling, upsizing, whatever.
Upcycling.
Yeah, upcycling. And several pairs of pants will give you different color combinations, and that's okay. I also have some leftover black denim that I had that I started piecing. So who knows, you may see this in a vest, or you may see it in a bag come Reno. I've got, a month and a half to get my sewing machine really cooking. And I have a surprise. I mean, even you don't know about this. And I know you've got the style shows going every day, mid-afternoon or something or other. I'd have to look at
I think it's,
and
I think it's at 3 o'clock.
Every day at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it gives everybody an opportunity to come strut their stuff. Well, I'm kind of a last minute person sometimes, and sometimes I do my best work then. But I have a vest pattern that's really quick and easy, and I know several of y'all have used it in the challenge that we had previously. This is a new challenge. I want you to upscale something and make it quick. It does some, at one of the events that I went to a couple of years ago, on Monday before the show is on Friday, they said, we're going to have Denim Friday. Everybody makes something denim between now and then. And I want everybody to include at least 2 zippers. Now, it could be a closure or it could be for embellishment. But here's a couple of vests. This is a quickie that has a zippers coming up the front. And then there's zippers on the back. There's a zipper pin.
And those zippers don't actually work. They're just for looks.
I could zip the blue one to the pink one.
Okay.
But the ones on the back are simply framing the edge like corded piping might.
Uh-huh.
It's finishing the edge on the sleeve. So this was just serged and folded under. It's not your beautiful finish on the inside like you might do. This, sometimes we go overboard with our challenges and try to spend too much time and over embellish. And it can still be a runway piece, even if it was quick to put together. So one of my favorite vests, and this is the one I made when they told me that we were going to have Denim Friday. And I thought, I've never worn denim to class in my life as a teacher. But I let the edge that was washed become the trim right here. I only lined the yoke. The bottom of this fabric, it was leftovers, and I washed it, and it's uneven. So that's just the way it is. Now we got black on black, and it's hard to see. So the sides don't even match. That's okay. That's what art is all about. Do your own thing. Now, I didn't want to cut off this rhinestone zipper, so I just let it go up as far as it would go. If I ever zip this, I'll zip it up whatever amount it needs to go, but I don't need a lot of flash right in the middle. These zippers are just for fun over on the side. So
and both those vests are using your vest pattern?
They are.
Oh, wow.
The vest pattern is a basic. Now, the version on the front cover is a long vest, but there's two other lengths in there. There's a tunic length and there's a shirt tail length. But you don't have to cut it shirt tail. What's important in a vest is to get this area to fit. And once you get this area to fit, you can do whatever you want to down below. So get it to fit and then play. And I even have a zipper on the back shoulder. You always need to have something fun on the shoulder because people behind you need to be entertained when you're standing in line, particularly at a quilt show.
True. Okay, so what I understand is that you are creating a new challenge for Quilt Show Reno. So we're going to make an additional category for our Dream It, Create It, Share It consumer fashion show. That this is our second year doing this, where the girls go around and give out raffle tickets to anybody wearing something that they've made or a purse that they've made. And then at 3:00, we have a fashion show at the fashion stage. And so if they need to call you in order to get the pattern, if they don't already have it,
they can call, or they can go online at ghees.com and order the pattern. But everybody that uses my pattern and goes up on stage Thursday, Friday, or Saturday is going to get a special little gift from me.
Okay. I'm excited.
Okay.
I know a lot
I'm
of the gals
mention
who are
it
watching did the challenge when you did the challenge a couple of years ago. So
those people spent hours and hours on their vest.
Yes.
Now they might have spent hours and hours on something that they haven't finished, and it might fit into a vest and they could plop it on there. But and it doesn't have to be upcycle, but something that you've created that has at least 2 zippers using my vest pattern.
Okay. So your website is www.ghees.com.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Well, I think that brings me to the bottom of my list. I probably ought to leave a little bit of time for Lance.
Okay.
And I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Me too. He's brand new.
Yeah.
So if you have not gone to the quiltshowreno.com website, go there after this and check out all of Linda's classes. You can look up under instructor, or you can look up classes by the day. Linda McGeehee is with Ghees Designs. And thank you so much for joining us, Linda. We're going to turn it over to Lance and Cindy now.
Okay, look forward to seeing you in Reno, not too far from now.
I know, it's going to be here before we know it.
Yep, you bet.
Okay. All right, Lance and Cindy. So where are you guys out of?
We're in Logan, Utah.
Okay. So that's not too far. So you guys have a brand new app that you've just created for your wife, who is a quilter.
Right.
So tell us your story.
Okay, so just to kind of back up again, I'm Lance. This is Cindy.
Hi.
And Beth, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. We're excited that you're going to join us at the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
So Cindy one day comes to me. She says, Lance, you're a software developer. You've been developing software for a long time. She says, I want a program that will let me see my quilt with my fabric before I start cutting. Can you write a program that'll do that? And I said, yes, I can. And so we did. So Quilt Duck is a mobile app that runs on Android and iOS that lets you use the phone's camera to photograph your fabric, save it. Then you can plug that into dozens of quilt patterns to see your fabric in the quilt that you are about to make. Any questions about that?
So if you're watching and you have any questions, just pop them into the comments and we'll get them answered. But so is it, say I want to do a 3 1-yard quilt.
Okay.
There's billions of those patterns.
Okay.
will it work for any of those, or is it only specific patterns?
So we only have specific patterns right now. And being a software developer, I've got to tell you, I don't know what a 3 1-yard quilt is.
I do.
Yeah.
Let
So
me
she'll-
answer a little bit.
Okay.
One of the things that's nice, even though there are specific patterns on the app, you can look at how your fabrics are going to go together and then use whatever pattern you want that you have chosen otherwise. But it will give you an idea of how the fabrics look together.
Okay. Okay. So you might not necessarily use it for the pattern that you want because there's a bazillion patterns out there, but it will give you
Yes.
an idea. Like right now, you just take the 3 or 4 or 5 bolts and you kind of pile them together and you say, oh, I think they'll go together, but you don't really know. So,
Yeah, this will give you a chance to put it into a quilt pattern
okay.
and really see how it looks. Now, one of the benefits of using our app is that once you have it set up in a pattern, we have a cutting list and you'll know how much fabric you need of each fabric that you've chosen.
Okay. So then would they would have to buy the patterns separately?
No, let me show you.
Okay.
Bring it up here. All right. Hopefully you can see my Quilt Duck app now.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me add it to the stage.
Yeah.
And then I am going to make this one the big one. Hang on. Okay, there you go.
All right. All right. So this is the Quilt Duck app. This is the home page. You can see there's a few different options here. Let's go look at quilts just real quick, because that's the question that we had there, right? Is how does that cutting list work? I'm going to come in my quilt project. I actually have, we've added, like I say, dozens of different patterns. Which one would be a 3 1-yard pattern? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
No, because it's going to be, you're just going to pick one with 3 fabrics.
Okay. So let's start with this one.
Okay.
So this is basically just an 8-pointed star with 3 fabrics. You can see that there's a pattern already laid out for the block. And we just tap on one of those patches and select a fabric to drop in there. Now I'll drop in a different one here. Let's do a nice light blue, and then let's do that gold. So now we've got a basic block pattern here with 3 different fabrics in it. Now this, of course, is just showing one block. We're going to scale this up so that it's actually about, I don't know, lap quilt size. So what this has done is I have increased the size of the quilt so that it has 4 columns of blocks by 6 rows for a total of 24 blocks. And each block is about 12 inches in size. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, 48 by 72. Yeah, that's about right. I can change this block size though. Let's say I want to go down to a much smaller one. That then recalculates the size of the quilt here so that now it's a 36 by 54. So it's quite a bit smaller. But that also gives me a little bit of room so that if I want to add maybe some sashing, we'll drop in maybe about a 1-inch sash. And we'll give it a nice, choose a color, love.
So on my app, it would not have all those different fabrics. It would only have the fabrics that I've taken photos of, right?
Almost. These particular fabrics that you're seeing in here, most of these fabrics are actually Riley Blake Designs fabrics.
Okay.
Riley Blake Designs have kindly allowed us to use images of their fabrics in the app so that when you first run the app, there's a lot of fabric there to choose from. And we've got a number of their collections. So we have the confetti cotton, which is all of their solid colors. Shades is another solid color, looks like this. We also have they have a backing and border. We also have dots, plaid, gunny sack, and then the quilty cloth. These are collections from their basics line. So these fabrics should be available from 1 year to the next, as opposed to some of their other fabrics, which of course they fall off out of season. So in this case, these are Riley Blakes, but I want to see my fabric in here, right? So I'm going to click on this red guy again. And now I'm going to create an entirely new one. So that brings me into my new fabric swatch. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it red gold. And then I am going to pick an image from my gallery. And I'm going to, this is an image. This is a photograph that I took a while ago of some fabric from Cindy's stash. And we're going to get it about right there. And then I'm pretty much done with it. I just go back and now you see my fabric that I just added right there inside the quilt. And we can see how it matches and how it goes with the rest of the colors in my quilt. And I can do the same thing for the other patches as well. I can replace them all with my fabric, which I think a lot of people would do. Or if you decide, okay, for this particular patch, I don't really have a fabric for that just at the moment. And so you just go in and you kind of pick the color that you want for it. And then maybe you'll go to the fabric store and you'll pull out your app and you'll say, okay, you'll hold it up next to the fabric bowl and say, okay, does that work? Something like that.
Right. Okay.
Now you can actually, he pulled a fabric from something he'd taken a picture of earlier, but the camera is connected to the app. So you can take pictures and it will immediately put it in your app. There aren't extra steps there.
Okay.
Now we want to see let's say, well, there's one more thing to do here, and that's we're going to set a binding. The app just chooses, just automatically adds a 1/4 inch binding around the edges, just so that you can see it complete. You can also, you saw that we added the sashing. If we want to do cornerstones, we can do that. So we'll put in some little.
Do a dark one.
A dark one. Let's do that guy right there. All right, so a little dark one, give a little contrast to it. Cindy's the designer here, not me. Just the programmer. So don't judge my quilt. So we think we've got it done. Let's look at the cutting list. And so we give you a list of each of the fabrics that are in your quilt. We give you an idea of about how much the total is going to be. And then the app calculates the number of strips and how wide each strip is going to be, and then tells you how many different shapes and how big those shapes need to be out of those strips. So for example, in this one, using Riley Blake's Confetti Cotton Bleached Denim fabric, you're going to cut, and that fabric is 42 inches usable width. You're going to cut 8 strips at 3 1/8 inch wide, and out of those 8 strips, you'll cut 96 3 1/8 inch squares, which will make up the half square triangles. And then that's repeated. And of course, we also have, you'll notice down here, we have the binding as well. So it's actually showing the binding, and it's adding the extra, what's the word?
The extra seam allowance.
Yeah, thank you. Couldn't remember. So it adds the diagonal seam allowance or the bias seam allowance in order to create the binding as well.
Huh. Okay, Carolyn would like to know, when you input your own fabric to the app, do you give it a name, say a K facet pattern?
Sure. Yeah, you can give it whatever name you want. So let me back out here. We'll go into our saved fabric swatches. So this is showing all of the Riley Blake fabric as well as my own, but I can filter that down so it just shows mine. So here's the one that I just added. Well, let's make a new one. So what name do we give it? Was there a name that you wanted to use?
K facet pattern.
Kathy facet pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, Kate, or what? Okay.
Oh, Kathy, I see it.
And then now I need to point out this version of the app that you're seeing right now is running on my local machine, and I don't have a camera there. So that's why we're not seeing a camera, and we're just picking from the gallery. But on your phone, there will be an additional button here with a little camera. You'll tap that and you can just take a photograph directly.
Okay.
But in this case, obviously I don't have Carolyn's particular fabric.
Right.
So I'll just choose something kind of at random here.
That's perfect.
We'll just do this guy right here. And yeah, I can actually change. I can give it whatever name I want here.
Okay,
So
perfect.
facet pattern, whatever. I can
Right.
also add some notes. So I can say this is a Caffey facet pattern fabric, for example. And then I can, if the usable fabric width is actually different from 42, I can actually change it.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe this is just like a remnant, so it's a little bit smaller, but maybe it's, it's a wider bolt all the way up to, say it's a
Right.
107. It's for binding or backing or whatever.
Right. And in the notes, they could put, the store that they got it from in case they need more or whatnot.
Yep.
Elaine wants to know, when you add your own fabric, how does the app know how to scale the size of the design print?
Wow, what a great question. Right now, the app is interpreting that square right there as 6 inches by 6 inches. So you'll notice in my image, I put a ruler down here at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Let me zoom back out again. I put that in there so that I know how to scale it. So what I'm doing is I'm zooming in just a little bit here. I'm going to set one edge of my image against a tick mark. And then I'm counting over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I put my other edge of my image against the other tick mark 6 inches away. And so now I know that the image on my screen is representing a 6 by 6 inch swatch of that fabric. And then when the app goes to show that fabric in the quilt, so now if we go back to our quilt, let's not put it there. Let's put it on this one. There's our facet pattern right there. This particular one, we set the finished block size at 9 inches. Let's make that, like the math a little bit easier here. So now each one of those, because the finished block size is 12 inches, just do a little bit of arithmetic in our heads. We've got 4 squares by 4 squares in that block. So that little square right there is about 3 by 3. So that's about half the size of that patch that we created. Does that answer your question, Elaine?
I think it does. Elaine, if you still have questions, just type them in and we'll get them answered. But I think it does.
Yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to show. Can you?
Not right now.
Sorry, we're new to this.
We're excited to show people as they come to our booth in Reno. We're excited to work with them, show them some things that they can do with it, answer questions there. We're really looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Perfect. I'm so excited to have you guys. This will be the very first consumer show that you're doing that's quilting related. I know you've done other consumer shows for computers and things, but for quilting, this is very exciting.
Yeah. We're trade show noobs.
We're excited.
Perfect. Well, Quilt Show Reno is pretty laid back, so I think it's a great place for you to kind of dip your toes into the waters.
Thanks. Thanks very
Carolyn
much.
wants to know, how much will the app cost?
Glad you asked. It's going to be $29.95, and it will be available on both the App Store on Apple and on the Google Play Store on Android, and it'll be the same price in both places. $29.95.
So $29.95 makes it affordable for everybody.
And it's a one-time price. You buy it and it's yours for as long as there's an app store.
Okay, perfect.
So there's no subscription, nothing like that. Now in the future, we're planning some future versions. We'll probably do some other in-app purchases in the future. But for right now, for what you just saw, that's $29.95.
Perfect. Suzette says she likes the name you picked for your app.
Thank you.
Then Elaine wants to know, can we track our fabric inventory in the app?
That is a great feature that we don't support.
Okay, so Elaine, I don't know that we would want to actually track our fabric inventory.
Some things are better left unsaid.
Yeah. It's one of those things you don't want to know the reality of. Carolyn wants to know, will there be updates?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That $29.95 will include all bug fixes, and we'll also be adding some new features throughout the coming year. And then probably in the following year, we'll probably look for a version 2, which will incorporate all the bug fixes and the features that we've added this year. And then we'll be probably introducing some really big new features.
Right.
Like being able to actually edit the block design.
Right. I can only imagine that it's one of those things. I mean, I'm not a computer person. As you know, I still use carbon paper at my store. No, I actually did. I actually did ask one of my employees why we were still using carbon paper, why we weren't just making copies. But, some things are hard to change.
Yeah, get it.
But I would imagine as you use the app, you'll find more things that you could use it for, which would require the new developments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've got a long list of features and functionality that we've thought of, and that our beta testers have thought of. So we've got plenty of work to do enhancing this application going forward.
I have a friend who's been testing it, and she keeps one of her children busy when he's bored by letting him play with it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, he can make his own little quilts.
Yeah. How fun. Okay, so if there's any other questions, just type those in. But I want to thank Linda and Lance and Cindy for coming and joining us. And we will see everybody at Quilt Show Reno. Make sure that if you're going to stay at the Grand Sierra Resort, you book your hotel now, because the room rates are only good in our block at $69 during the week, with the $20 resort fee through May. Mary Lou says no subscriptions is great. And Janet wants to know what the name of your app is.
So the name of the app is Quilt Duck, just Quilt Duck, QUILT Duck. Okay. You can find us online at quiltduck.com.
Perfect. So you can go and you can learn more about it, quiltduck.com, and just write down the list of questions you have, and then make sure that you find them when you get to Quilt Show Reno.
Yeah.
All right,
we've got
Linda,
a form there. You can email us if you want, if you have questions before then. So
perfect. What's your email, Lance?
Email us at support@quiltduck.com.
Perfect.
And there's even a handy little form, a little contact us form at our website. So if you just go to quiltduck.com and go to contact us, there's a little form there. You can just type in your message and we'll get it and we'll respond.
Perfect. Sounds good. So this is kind of exciting because Linda probably has come to every Quilt Show Reno for the last 23 years. And you guys are like brand new. So it's like we've got all extremes here.
Right on.
Not everyone, but a bunch of them.
Linda's clearly a lot more prepared than we are.
Yes.
Well, she has done this a few times.
Wear comfortable shoes.
Okay.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you next Monday at 3:00. Have a great night. And make sure you go and check out quiltshowreno.com and check out Quilt Duck and Ghees.com for all the things that are happening throughout the year. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks again, Beth.
Thank you.